Okay, so you're here because you want to really get a handle on all the big changes in tech, but you don't want to get bogged down in all the super technical details, right?
Yeah, you want the shortcuts, the need-to-know stuff.
Exactly. We're going to make this your shortcut, and today we're diving deep into Web3 and blockchain.
We've got a whole stack of information reports, articles, and we're going to pull out the most important insights.
Yeah, our mission here is to cut through all the noise and make sense of what these technologies actually are and why they matter.
Especially for you, someone who wants to stay ahead of the curve but doesn't have hours and hours to spend researching.
Right, so think about the internet we use every day, what we call Web 2.
It's built on platforms,
Right.
All these platforms that are owned and operated by these huge corporations.
Your data, everything you do online, it all flows through their servers.
Companies like Google, Meta, Amazon.
They're the gatekeepers.
Yeah, they're in the middle of everything.
Every search you make, they're learning every connection, every purchase they're tracking and recording.
So the whole idea behind Web3 is to flip that model on its head.
Decentralization.
Exactly. Take that control away from those big companies and give it back to the users.
Cut out the middleman.
And this raises a big question. If this shift actually happens, how is your everyday online experience going to change?
What does it mean for you to actually own your digital identity, your assets?
That's what we're going to figure out.
All right, let's get into it. Web3 is basically the next version of the internet, and blockchain is the tech that makes it all possible.
The big difference is where all your digital stuff is stored.
Right now with Web 2, it's all on these massive centralized servers controlled by those corporations.
With Web3, it's all about decentralized networks.
Imagine a database that's spread across tons of computers all over the world.
Not just one central location.
This isn't just a tech upgrade. It's a total restructuring of who has the power online and who benefits from the internet.
And that change in where your data is stored, that changes how you interact online.
With Web 2, we have to trust those companies to handle our transactions and keep our data safe.
With Web3, you're interacting directly with the blockchain.
Every transaction is recorded on this distributed ledger.
Securely and transparently.
And here's where it gets interesting for you, the user.
This decentralization could mean big advantages.
More privacy because your information isn't all in one place.
More security because it's way harder to hack a distributed network.
And ultimately, more control for the user.
Imagine actually owning your online identity, your digital collectibles like NFTs.
Your entire digital presence without being tied to one specific platform.
This opens up a whole new world of digital economies where creators and users can directly benefit from the value they create.
And the foundation for all of this is blockchain.
Like we said, it's this distributed ledger technology.
Instead of one central record, the information is spread out across potentially millions of computers all over the world.
And that's what makes it so secure.
If the information isn't all in one place, it's almost impossible to tamper with it or shut it down.
Like trying to stop a message being passed through a huge crowd.
Exactly, way more difficult than stopping a single messenger.
And there are three key things about blockchain that are super important to understand.
The first is immutability.
Once something's recorded on the blockchain, you can't change it or erase it.
It's a permanent record.
This changes everything about trust in digital information and transactions.
You have a record that can't be messed with.
The second key thing is decentralization.
No single entity controls the entire network.
This spreads out the power, makes it way harder to censor or manipulate.
And the third key aspect is transparency.
Now, this doesn't mean your personal information is public.
But the transactions and activity on the network are verifiable by anyone.
This builds trust, even if you don't understand all the technical details.
You can see that a transaction happened, it was verified, and it's now a permanent part of the record.
Now, if you're thinking about all of this from a web development perspective, this is huge.
All those skills you might already have with JavaScript frameworks like React and Node.js.
Those are still super valuable in this new world.
Think about how traditional web apps work. They rely on centralized servers.
The company that owns those servers, they have all the control.
They control access, they can shut things down, they manage all the data.
But then you have decentralized applications, or dApps.
These run on the blockchain itself.
No single entity can shut them down or censor them.
They're incredibly resilient.
And for the user, this is a total power shift.
dApps give you control over your data and your transactions.
You're not relying on a corporation, you're interacting directly with the blockchain.
And then you have smart contracts.
These are basically self-executing agreements written in code on the blockchain.
They automatically execute when certain conditions are met.
No need for lawyers or escrow services.
It's like a digital vending machine.
You put in the right payment, you get the product.
No human needed.
So if you're listening to this and you're already comfortable with web development,
Learning about Web3 is a natural next step.
you'll want to look into Solidity.
That's the language used to create smart contracts, especially on Ethereum.
Ethereum is one of the most popular platforms for building dApps.
And you'll want to get familiar with the major blockchain networks themselves.
Ethereum, Polygon, things like that.
Understanding how they work is crucial.
And then you'll need to learn how to actually interact with these blockchains from a coding perspective.
That's where libraries like Web3.js and Ethers.js come in.
These are tools that let developers write code that can talk to the blockchain.
And that's how you build those dApps.
So what are the benefits of getting into Web3 development?
It's all about control and freedom.
You can build an application knowing that it can't be taken down or censored.
You have real ownership over your creation.
And you can interact directly with users for payments.
No more middlemen taking a cut.
More transparency, fairer earnings for creators.
And the blockchain itself provides incredible security and reliability.
You don't have to rely on a third party for that.
So where does Web3 development stand compared to other tech fields?
Like traditional web development or AI and machine learning.
Well, Web3 is a very high demand field right now.
And it pays really well.
Traditional web development is also a strong career path.
And AI and ML, those require specialized skills and also tend to pay well.
But what we've seen is that Web3 salaries can be much higher.
2 to 3 times higher on average.
This is because there's a huge demand for blockchain skills.
And there just aren't enough skilled professionals to meet that demand.
Companies are desperate for people who can build and navigate this new technology.
So the future of Web3 and blockchain looks incredibly bright.
We're seeing more and more interest from all kinds of companies and even governments.
They're recognizing the potential for secure and transparent transactions.
And there's a growing trend of integrating Web3 features into existing apps and services.
So the demand for blockchain skills is only going to increase.
And then you have the intersection of AI and blockchain
That's still early stages, but it has huge potential.
for things like automation, data integrity, and even more intelligent decentralized systems.
The big takeaway here is that Web3 and blockchain are changing the internet as we know it.
It's all about shifting the power to the users, giving them more control, transparency, and opportunities.
So to sum up our deep dive, Web3 and blockchain are a major shift in how the internet is structured and who controls it.
It's all about decentralization.
Putting individuals in control of their data, their digital assets, and their online interactions.
This will change everything from how we own digital content to how we build and use applications.
So if you're interested in tech in the future, this is something you need to pay attention to.
Whether you're a developer or just someone who wants to understand what's coming next.
So here's something to think about.
Given this idea of decentralization and user empowerment,
What parts of your current online experience do you think would be different in a Web3 world?
what kind of control or ownership would you want that you don't have now?
Hopefully this deep dive has given you a good foundation.
And if any specific parts of Web3 or blockchain caught your attention,
Go explore them further.
there's a ton of information out there, and now you have the tools to start navigating it.
That's it for today. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Bye.